What's going on, everyone? It's Rando. I'm back with another one. I got the M&P Shield Plus in 9mm. To be honest with you, I used to own a Shield many years ago, I think it was like 9 years ago. I got rid of it fairly quickly, but I was also not the best at concealed carrying at that time and really didn't have much of an understanding of properly carrying, proper form when shooting, and I felt it was an inaccurate gun, but I feel at that time it's probably user error. So let's take a little bit closer look at this, and obviously you saw it's not loaded, I don't even have a mag in it, but let's just take a little bit of a closer look. I actually picked this up recently. I bought it from a friend, transferred legally at my local gun store, so it's used, and I'm fine with that because, you know, I don't actually think he shot it too much. Showed it some love though, probably just kept it in a safe. But let's take a look here. So I have a couple other firearms here, and I'll drop the specs of this in the screen here so that you can see what the specs of the Shield Plus are. Now obviously it has kind of a nice little trigger here. One super nice feature I like as far as concealed carrying goes, especially if you're a new shooter, is the fact that it has a safety. Now I know some people out there are probably like, well, your finger's your safety. I mean, and that might be true. That being said, whenever you're very new to shooting, sometimes you do forget the basics, no matter how much they're tried to be ingrained into you. So having that safety there so that you can't, the trigger's not moving at all. And then obviously once you take the safety off, it will go off. I think the safety itself is a really nice feature for new shooters. Makes you feel comfortable, especially carrying with one in the chamber, that even if you put this into your pocket, it's not gonna go off. Comes with 2 mags, 10 round, obviously that would be 10 plus 1, and then 13 plus 1. Now I know capacity wise, there's a ton of guns out right now that are gonna have way more capacity, but ultimately, like how many do you really need in a situation? Compared to the good old Glock 43, you got your 6 plus 1. I'll definitely take the M&P in its factory form over that. But then you also have the Meta MC9 that has its factory 12 plus 1 and 15 plus 1. That being said, for a brand new shooter, the trigger on this, and obviously this is unloaded as well, the trigger on this is super nice, but also so nice in a way that a new shooter, just getting into it and pulling up and drawing and shooting, it's maybe like, I don't want to say it's too light. So whenever you pull up to shoot, it kind of has a fairly quick break, and it breaks nice. So an experienced shooter will find that to be awesome. That's why I do like canic triggers. But a new shooter, you might not have any creep into that, and you just pull a trigger and it goes off, and you might not be ready. So I do think that having a trigger that has a little bit, of a wall to it, defined, kind of tells that new shooter, hey, this is where it is. You push a little harder and it breaks. All 3 of these guns are great carry options, and let's just forget capacity. You just ultimately have to be comfortable with what you're holding. With these different mags in, obviously everything is unloaded. You got your pinky extension, so it does feel comfortable, but it's also kind of chunky. Whenever you put the 15 rounder in the MC9, it gives you more of a purchase, but at the same time, this right here, this point on the mag, actually digs into your hand. And I found that when firing with the 15 round magazine in it, it actually digs into my palm, and it makes it uncomfortable, and you kind of want to break the grip that you have onto it, okay? So no matter what handed you are, I do feel that this corner is going to dig in. With the Shield, so you got your, I'm a dummy, it's cold out. You got your flush fit. Yeah, my pinky's hanging out at the bottom, but I don't feel that anything's digging in. And then whenever I put my 13 rounder in, I feel that I can get a nice grip on it. I feel that, my fingers are able to wrap around well. I feel that ultimately I have a nice purchase on the firearm. And that's what you have to do. You have to be able to feel comfortable with it. Now, can you mount a light on it? Not directly to a rail, because there is no rail. That being said, I know that they make little options that snap here, and that's fine. It's not optics ready, and that's completely okay, because you have your good old 3-dot irons here, and they are metal, so they're not plastic, shouldn't chip break. That being said, the rear sight here, it does not look like you could do any racking if you had to. It's slippy. so you're not going to hit that. You'd actually have to use the front, just the front pin. But I think that you know, in a emergency situation, to have to use that in a one arm type deal isn't really going to be the most beneficial. It does have some nice serrations here. Kind of looks like fish scale in a way, you know, to get your finger on to pull back. Ultimately though, I feel I'm holding it very comfortably. Trigger brake, let's see. Really no creep at all. You're not like having two defined walls. So it's just one defined wall. You push, brake, reset. A little far out there compared to other firearms, but just still a defined wall. Compared to the MC9, again, nothing in it. So you're gonna kind of hit a wall, and you sponge back into a defined wall, and then brake. Very short reset to that same defined wall and brake again. But this has kind of two walls to it. This one, just one. So that new shooter, you're not gonna have to find your way through, oh, is this where it breaks, or is this where I have to push harder, and then it's gonna, you know, hit another wall and brake. No, it's just straight into that wall and brake. So this would give the new shooter the confidence to pull the trigger, maybe not have that jerk reaction or anything like that whenever they're trying to get on target. The sights on it are not bad ultimately. Texturing on it, I think right out the gate from the factory is very nice. You can actually take and switch the mag release to be ambidextrous. You know, it's ambidextrous, so you can switch it to right or left-handed shooter. Me being a lefty, I already switched it. It's dropping out just fine. I feel very user-friendly, very thin, very slimline, feels comfortable in the hand. I feel that it would feel comfortable for multiple hand sizes, whether you have large hands, small hands. I think that a lot of people getting into it with smaller hands, having this flush fit mag in here would feel real comfortable for them, and they'd be able to carry very comfortably and feel good with what they're doing. And the extended is good for people with a little bit bigger hands. Feel you get a good purchase on it and a little bit higher round count. I do have 2 boxes of ammo here. Let's load it up. Let's run straight 100 rounds through it and go from there. You're gonna watch me run 100 rounds. I'm gonna fast forward through the reloading and everything, because obviously I'm gonna have to reload it. I only have those 2 mags for it, which I always suggest anytime you get a firearm, get yourself some extra mags. Let's just run 100 straight rounds. I put like 2 drops of oil on the thing, because whenever I got it, it was bone dry. So I only put 2 drops of oil on it. I don't expect it to give me any hiccups. Historically, I know these firearms have a pretty good track record. Let's just run 100 through it and go from there. All right, we got our ears on. I have the 13+1 in here. Not gonna lie, to get the magazine in was a little difficult. And look, I'm using the safety. Let's run it. All right, here's the last of the 100. I think there's 7 rounds in here. Just let them rip. Yep. How's it? All right, so everything is unloaded, as you can see. Nothing in the mag, nothing in the firearm itself. Let me just go ahead and drop this. Ultimately, what do I think? I think that I maybe kept myself from having a pretty decent firearm for many years. The Shield Plus, Smith & Wesson, the M&P, great trigger, great safety features, real nice compact design. I just ran through 100 rounds, 124 grain Blazer brass. Not a single hiccup, not a single issue. 2 drops of oil on it. I think it probably could have ran dry, to be honest with you. I think this would be an excellent first-time shooter firearm. I feel that you're able to get on target very well. I feel it points nicely, feels comfortable in the hand. The grip texture is nice. The thinness in the back here allows me to get a good purchase on it, get real up into the firearm. I feel that I can hold it nicely. Ultimately, I think if you look at other brands first, or based off of mainstream popularity, and kind of forget some of these models that have been out a while, I think you're cheating yourself. I know I probably did, for sure. And I know I've reviewed other firearms and I really like them. I truly do. But I really dig this one. I think I'm gonna throw it into the carry rotation for sure. Yeah, I don't really have a complaint. I feel that it shoots well. I'm gonna keep putting some rounds through it. I'm gonna throw some defense rounds through it just to see how it functions, which I'm sure it will. So actually, I have some with me. Let's just do it real quick before we end this. All right, so I actually have, I think like 8 or 9 or 10 rounds in here of different defense type. The first up are actually 95 grain frangibles, followed by some 115 grain hollow points and 124 grain hollow points. Now, you saw in other tests, like the micro dagger that I really like, actually wouldn't cycle the 115 grains well at all. So I might really like it, like the looks, the feel, but ultimately the firearm has to be able to cycle whatever you're putting through it, especially in a life or death scenario. So varying grains, let's just run them. Let's just see how she does and go from there. Went through everything completely fine. That's what you want out of a firearm that you're going to carry every day. So it just ran all those defense rounds, varying grains and varying types without issue. That's exactly how a carry gun should go. Go bang every time, no matter what you put in it. So I think I'm going to start carrying. I'm going to run some more rounds through it, though. I do like to have 300 to 500 rounds through a firearm before I'm saying, hey, I'm going to trust my life with it. But so far, day one, just throwing rounds through it on a cold morning, it's working really good. Feels really good in the hand. I definitely think that I kept myself from having a nice firearm based off of just kind of getting what was new coming out. This has been out for a while. Give it a try. Put it in your hand, hold it, see how it feels. I'm not trying to sell you anything, and nobody sent me anything. I'm just trying to tell you to get out there and have a good time. Practice. Be safe, okay? No matter what you're doing, just try to be safe. Make sure you respect what you have, the firearm and stuff like that, you know. You're holding a powerful tool in your hands, so make sure it's the right one. I don't care what brand you get, just make sure it's right. And as always, be safe, be kind. God bless everyone watching this, and catch you next time.